Welcome into Brainstorming America. I'm Ken Rollins, and I'm here with John Merrill. John, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Ken.
Ain't seen you in a while.
Yes, sir.
You stay moving. Ain't nobody gonna shoot you because you're a moving target. Not that anybody want to shoot you, but
You'd be surprised.
really?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it here?
Not right now.
Okay, we will talk about it then. Since we talked, we had a show last week. We talked about a lot of things. The lost the speakership. I don't know where we're at today, this part of the taping, but we got some dire straits ahead of us. Let's see what the next. Okay, when we met here the last time, we talked about the Supreme Court denied the new redistricting proposal, right?
That's correct.
It said it was for all. They were talking about it.
But the U.S. Supreme Court.
The U.S. Supreme
Yes, sir.
Court said that Alabama's recommendations for an all-black district. I don't understand that. What is that?
To have two majority-minority districts.
Where's the other one?
Well,
Tuskegee?
this is the thing, Ken, and this is the thing that's so disappointing, is that, and I was the chief litigant, the defense litigant, when this case started, because I was still in my role as Secretary of State, and we were sued for the creation of a second majority-minority district. Now, the 7th Congressional District in Alabama has been a majority-minority district since 1992. And since that time, we've had 3 African Americans that have represented Alabama in that district. Earl Hilliard for 10 years, Artur Davis for 10 years, and Terry Sewell for 12 years. She's currently in that seat. But there are people that felt like, since Alabama had 26% majority-minority population, then we needed to have 2 congressional districts, because then 3/4 of our congressional district would be represented by whites, probably Republicans, but whites. Well, there's no way that you could possibly create 2 majority-minority districts in the state of Alabama, because those individuals that are African American can live wherever they choose to live in the entire state. So what had happened before with half of Jefferson County, with half of Tuscaloosa County, and then running down through the Black Belt to create the majority-minority district that we know as the 7th Congressional District, was going to be split up somewhat to try to create a second majority-minority district. It was not done by the legislature in the maps that they presented to the Congress, to the United States Supreme Court, and it was not done in the review that was provided, and it was not done by the special master that was assigned by the U.S. Supreme Court to come up with a second majority-minority district. The best they could come up with was diluting the original majority-minority district to 51% black, 49% other, and then the other 2 options that they created had the second district only represent 48 and 49% majority-minority. And so at that point, there's no way for the creation of a second district. So the likelihood of there being 7 whites and 7 white Republicans being elected to the United States Congress to represent Alabama after all this is said and done is higher than it's been since 1992.
Whoa. And there you have it, folks. The skinny of it, if you will. But it's been very frustrating to a lot of us that sees this, to how it benefits or is negative against the voters of the state of Alabama, and I don't get it. I don't see how it's going to change anything for me. So I just been confused about it. Thought I'd bring that up. This is not a very serious item, but it's one of those things that irks me, and that's I remember when the woke crowd was trying to get rid of all the statues and all the stuff, and with the things like the Braves, they want to get rid of them because they use a hatchet and represent the American Indian, Native Americans in a bad light. Same thing with the Redskins. I noticed last week that there's been a lawsuit filed against the Redskins and against Washington Commanders. They don't want the Washington Commanders because the woke says, having somebody with the name Commander makes them sound above you, that everybody's lower than you because you got the word Commander. So, and I see these. You do. The reason I brought you here is just about every week you're calling a ball game somewhere.
Absolutely.
What are some of these names, these little kids?
Look, it's amazing. And we still have, Wetumpka High School, their mascot is the Indians.
Thank you.
Ohatchee?
Indians.
So let's be serious. I still call the Cleveland Indians the Cleveland Indians, and now they're the Guardians or something. And I still call the Washington Redskins the Redskins. As a matter of fact, when I ask Siri what the score is, I say Washington Redskins, and it pops up with the Washington Commanders. But I'm not comfortable with that. And I'll tell you this too, it's amazing that there hadn't been more pressure put on the Atlanta Braves to change their mascot too. Of course, they got rid of Chief Nakahoma, which we grew up with, and the teepee and the whole deal. But it's just amazing that we have let a small group, a small vocal minority, change the way that we do things that we see as pleasurable experiences. It's not designed to send a political message. It's designed to have a pleasurable experience for your family. And we hope that the viewers will know that we want you to have a pleasurable experience each and every week when you choose to join us for the next edition, this being the 36th episode of Brainstorming America, because we want to talk about things that are important to you, that are relevant in your life, that help you get better prepared to face the challenges that you're going to have each and every week. So we hope that you'll come back after this break and join us for the next segment of this week's episode of Brainstorming America.
Thanks for coming back, joining us here on Brainstorming America. John, when you was here with John Merrill, and when we went to commercial, you was talking about the Indians and the different names, the Braves. I wonder how many people, I just wish I could get a show of hands, the people in the audience that have any idea when you said Chief Nakahoma, what it meant. I bet you there's people that have never heard, but ain't that ingenious, Nakahoma.
Absolutely.
Come on, Nakahoma.
Absolutely.
But he would dance around.
He did his war dance.
Oh, he did, and he can't do that now.
And if you remember, back in 1982, when the Braves, for the very first time since 1969, were about to win the National League West, they were playing extraordinarily well that summer. So many people were going to the games, which had not been happening frequently, that they decided they needed those extra 300 seats that were out in left field in this particular area where Chief Nakahoma's teepee was. They took it down to make room for all those folks to go and enjoy the game. The Braves went in a slump, and when they went into slump, they said, we got to put Chief Nakahoma's teepee back up because this is what has created the slump.
I know it.
And so, of course, that was 41 years ago, but the Braves ended up winning the division, then they got swept by the Cardinals, who won the World Series.
God, you can't take the teepee out of there.
No,
you got
absolutely not.
Chief Nakahoma. Oh, Lord. Oh, he's got me on Walter Brennan here today. Something new is in the news that I want to bring up. I don't even go to the store. I've got a card in my pocket for the store that I've never used. And I don't do it because they had the restroom policy but Target stores closed 9 stores last week. 9 in California because of they put these shelves up that you have to have a lock and key just to get a bottle of perfume or a bar of soap. They just got down to where you can't run a business.
Sure.
And I watched the governor.
The rioting and the looting that's taking place in those stores is unbelievable, and they don't even realize that all of that has come from the very policies that they created with their own wokeness, where they were allowing people to have the LBGTQPTLNYNMLOZ
+1
be able to come out and then express how they needed to have all this rainbow attire and all of these things that were going to be so important to helping their 2% of the audience that was going in there to buy those things each and every day. And now they've let all of these people come in and just run rampant in their stores and steal and take our prices up because they can't even do their own protection for their own merchandise. Then now they're actually having to close those stores. So have at it.
Well, you know that we seen what somebody did with the beer when they put that LGBT girl on there. We saw what they did when people just locked their heels in. In this city that I live in, I could bet you I could name you 15 to 20 people right now that have not went back to a Target store, this Target store, since they said men could use the women's restroom, etc. I am one of those. I need to get this. I be in the parking lot, but I can't force myself to go in there. And there's a lot just like me. I would not want. We got a thing right here. We don't want our neighbors to see us going into a Target.
Sure.
Isn't that something?
Just like there are people who will go to Chick-fil-A because of their Christian principles and the way that they take a stand for things that we all hold dear to our hearts.
True.
Patriotism, our country, our Lord, and they want to express that by their support of Chick-fil-A. As a matter of fact, when they were going through a hard time back in 2012, Governor Mike Huckabee actually encouraged people to go out and to shop at Chick-fil-A, and they broke every record in the history of the store because so many people went out and showed their appreciation for Chick-fil-A in that period of time.
You know Mike Huckabee, by the way.
Yes, sir. He's a good friend.
I figured that.
I just texted him. I texted Governor Huckabee Sarah yesterday as well.
Well, I need you to get something to Mike. They got a thing on there they call Relaxium.
Yes, sir.
And I'm in my kitchen.
You took some before the show started, didn't you?
I hear a woman, I was so much, she's crying. And I look around the corner in my kitchen, the TV, there's a 350, 400-pound woman laying sideways on the side. My husband, our life is so bad. What's wrong with you? I was my leg that it's the real deal. And then her uppers and her lower teeth, she's got 3 sets of false teeth falling in the way, and she's trying to tell me about something that will make your love life better because it makes you sleep. It makes you sleep, John. I'm talking about how's that going to make your love life better. It's a sleeping pill. So I'm sleeping over here, and I have such a better relationship with my husband because I'm asleep. Tell Mac I tear down. I hate that commercial. I hate it. I'd rather hear my pillow.
Oh my goodness
Yes,
gracious!
sir. I do. I mean, it just gets under my skin. My daughter just tickle at me. I said, "Why is she crying if it's so good?" Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The next time you hear it, it'll be different.
That's right. But it won't be any better.
No, you're right. Oh boy, I had to do that. And I'm gonna get a letter from Relaxium now. That's the other.
Maybe they want to sponsor the show.
I don't know, but I don't know how you make your life better with your spouse if you're just gonna go to sleep.
Well, some people appreciate that. We hope you don't appreciate taking a snooze, and don't take your Relaxium before the next segment of Brainstorming America. We'll come back in just a few minutes as we have the third segment of today's show as we finish strong and talk to you about some issues that are pressing that we know you want to hear more about. Thanks for joining us each and every week. We'll see you back here in just about 1 minute.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here and John Merrill. And John, when we went to a break, we were talking about Target stores closing. One other thing that's on the news is Senator Menendez and his wife charged with corruption and fraud. I never seen anything like that with them gold bars in the coats and the jackets and stuff hung in the closet. And this just was a happenstance. This was a mistake on somebody's part. But the state of corruption in this, what I'm watching was playing out with the Biden inquiry, impeachment inquiry, things that can you believe 20 million here and 20 million there? If you say it real fast, it don't mean that much. But the money that has been shimmied around is amazing to me. And one other I'm gonna throw before you get out. AOC, you know AOC
I
from
do.
New York, the little bartender that when she went into office, she took a trip down to Washington D.C. to find her a place to live. She found that she could not afford to live in D.C. because a congresswoman's pay, $160,000 whatever, was not enough to live in D.C. She was so up in arms about that. Here she is 3 years later, she's got multi-billion-dollar homes on $160,000 pay. I wonder, in your hookups that you know in D.C. and everything, can you find out who these people have as accountants that make that work like that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're
just
saying.
tell me. I just with a few bucks.
Well, it's a major problem, but you know, one of the things that you're talking about with Senator Menendez from New Jersey is not new, and it's certainly not new to New Jersey. I know that many of you will remember back in the late 1970s with the Abscam scandal that occurred with the Arab sheiks that were trying to influence the United States Senate and members of the United States Congress. They had another individual from New Jersey at the time that was identified, investigated, indicted, and convicted and went to prison because of his involvement in Abscam at that particular time. And a few years ago, when Hurricane Katrina came through New Orleans, there was a black Democratic congressman who actually had refrigerators full of cash in his home where he was keeping them, and they found that during the flood recovery when they were going and trying to make sure that people were being saved from the ruins of their homes at that particular time. And he was obviously keeping it there for safekeeping, at least that's what he said. I don't know why a bank didn't work, but that he'd rather have it in the refrigerator. But nevertheless, that is not an uncommon practice for members of Congress or United States senators, unfortunately. And that, in many instances, having quality people, quality representatives, quality senators, quality congressmen, is something that is out of the ordinary and unusual instead of being commonplace. We're very fortunate in Alabama to have such outstanding members of our congressional delegation and our United States Senate team, but other states are not blessed like that, and obviously New Jersey is not one of them with Bob Menendez.
Yeah. Well, AOC recovered real good from her little deal because she drives a electric car. She lives in, like I said, she's in a multi-million-dollar level of living now, and I guess that it's just however you stretch your money, I guess, and I have to give it to her. She's done a good job of doing that because I mean, you can see this playing out in real time if you do. If you look at her now, the way she's dressing now, compared to what she was when she first came, and remember that she was talking about, I was bartending last week. Now I've got to start another job, and it only pays $160,000 a year. I'm saying, oh, bless your heart. Let's see what we can do to get you some aid. So somebody came through.
No doubt.
Well,
We're not sure it was the right people, but somebody came through,
a
Coach.
GoFundMe thing.
That's right.
But you know, I could get one of those set up for me. Would you try?
We can help you with that.
Thank you very much. That's like Elvis. Like Robot. Okay. The Bidenomics. When I say Bidenomics to you, what does that mean?
It's certainly not Reaganomics.
Oh, there
I
you
can
go.
tell you that.
If you just put one word with it, it would be green, because the Bidenomics thing has to do with energy. It has to do with everything that affects us, our pocketbook, our bread, our milk, our gas, our shoes, our clothing, everything that they have. We got to make this. Our houses have to be painted with a different type of paint. Our windows have to have a different type of glass. Our doors have to have a thickness of such and such and such. If you're building a house now, a friend of mine's construction, he said the standards of building a house now under the green thing, you have to do so many different things under different codes that have to do with saving energy, that a house that would cost you $160,000 will now cost you $260,000 because of the new green deal of Bidenomics. Is the different paints that Lowe's is going to sell, they're not going to be allowed to sell certain things.
Ken, I don't think it's inappropriate at this time to introduce the fact that it is a new Green Deal. It's a real good new Green Deal for somebody. And the green we're talking about is the green that's going in their wallets. When we figure out exactly who's influence in public policy in this regard, from the White House to the Senate to the Congress, I think a lot of questions are going to be answered. But until then, the American people continue to suffer through the new Green Deal.
Yeah, and it's that goes back to what we can say. I mean, I'm just saying from Ken Rollins' perspective, one stroke of the pen to stop fossil fuels, to stop the drilling, had more negative effect on this country than anything I've saw in the last 40 years. I would say that stopping the drilling and doing away with fossil fuels that they're working toward right now, people that's watching us have no idea that down in Louisiana, wherever our national reserve of oil is, has depleted down to a dangerous level, not to be refilled like it has in the past years. Always, okay, we can bring it down there, but we got to get drilling, folks. We got to keep that because it's emergencies for emergencies. Right now, if we have an emergency, we're up the creek and we don't have a paddle because Joe Biden has allowed for our emergency oil to deplete itself down to where it's at a dangerous level, that if we have a catastrophe of any sort, we're up the creek.
No doubt about it. And we know that you probably are feeling a little depleted now after watching this episode of Brainstorming America. So when we end this segment and end this show this week, go grab you some potato chips and Coca-Cola, sit there on the couch, watch your next show. But we hope you'll come back and join us again next week for the next episode of Brainstorming America.
Says Barry Bryant.